What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with GSP giving 3 names that would force him back into the UFC. George St. Pierre says he has no plans to get back into professional cage fighting, but that doesn't stop anyone from asking him who he would come back to fight against. GSP is now entertaining that question, and in a recent Instagram video, he shared the 3 names that could possibly excite him to make that walk to the octagon one more time. Hypothetically, this is what he stated.
Well, if I would have to come back and fight today, the 3 current fighters that I would have choose to fight, and I won't because I don't want to come back, but if I would have come back, I would want to be the best, so I would hunt the best guys, maybe Usman, Chimaev, and I don't know who's compete against Khabib if he would still be there, but unfortunately for me and for the fans and everybody, that it's not gonna happen because I'm done and I don't miss it at all.
GSP had been linked to a potential fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov a few years ago that did include a little bit of interest from both sides, but it's never taken place and likely won't ever take place given what both guys have been saying. As for Usman, that's interesting since Usman is holding down the same welterweight division that GSP used to reign supreme over, with talk that Usman could surpass GSP's accomplishments in that realm. Heck, even UFC President Dana White has already called Usman the greatest welterweight in the promotion's history over GSP. Chimaev is a very interesting name, and it's one that some might not have expected GSP to say. Chimaev has a massive following and is very interesting. Given the way he's beaten almost all of his opponents, his star is only rising and is climbing up the welterweight rankings pretty quickly. What do you think of GSP's comments of who would be able to coax him back into the fight game? Chael Sonnen thinks that Sean Strickland should get a pass over his knockout loss. Sean Strickland's knockout loss to Alex Pereira at UFC 276 came in pretty early in the fight. Pereira made pretty quick work of Strickland by finishing him off the way he did. Many people have been giving Strickland a hard time online over his tough talk and the fact that he tried to stand and bang with the world champion kickboxer. Now here comes former fighter turned MMA pundit Chael Sonnen to say that Strickland deserves a pass. He feels that because Strickland was trying to make the fight as entertaining as possible, he should be given a pass for this fight. This is what Sonnen stated in a recent video on his YouTube channel.
Can we give Sean a pass? I mean, Sean was trying to do what the audience really wanted to see. The audience really wanted to see this fight, but if we knew that Sean was just going to go out and tackle him and put him in a realm that he had never been in, all of a sudden they lose interest a little bit. They wanted Sean to stand and train. That's you guys.
Pereira earned a shot at the middleweight title with his win over Strickland, something that had been planned by the UFC ever since he entered the promotion in November of last year. Strickland was touted as Pereira's toughest test to date, and the man to really challenge Pereira and welcome him to the UFC. But he was knocked out quicker than Pereira's debut opponent, Andreas Michailidis, who isn't even in the UFC anymore. But what do you think about Sonnen's comments here? Should he be given a pass for this loss? Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to stay up to date on all of the latest fight news. Aljamain Sterling versus Jose Aldo? Sterling says it's likely not gonna happen. Undisputed UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling is looking to solidify his stance as champion with the win over TJ Dillashaw whenever they fight, likely later this year. Sterling beat Peter Yan via split decision in a rematch of their controversial first encounter. With Yan now out of the way for Sterling for the moment, he now has his sights set on fighting the former champion in Dillashaw, whom he called out after his win over Yan back in April. Dillashaw is currently ranked number 2 in the division, and sitting right behind him is another former champion in Jose Aldo. The Brazilian is on a 3-fight winning streak after losing to Peter Yan in mid-2020 for the vacant bantamweight title. Aldo is a legend, a longtime featherweight champion, and he's actually younger than Dillashaw. Did you know that? Some people online have stated that Sterling could fight Aldo after TJ, if he gets past the California native. This is how Sterling responded to those comments. Focused on TJ. Machine will handle Aldo. Aldo currently has a fight scheduled against Merab Dvalishvili, set for UFC 278 in August. In this tweet, Sterling is referencing Dvalishvili, whose nickname is The Machine. Dvalishvili is on an impressive 7-fight win streak and ranked number 6 in the division. His latest win came against Marlon Moraes by a TKO in September of last year in the second round. He's ranked number 6 in the bantamweight division, and the win over Aldo could put Dvalishvili in the title shot picture. But there's also the specter of former champ Henry Cejudo looming over the bantamweight division, as Triple C has continuously teased a return to the octagon and stated he's back in the USADA testing pool, and he's even trolled Sean O'Malley last week. What do you think about Sterling's comments here? And who do you think would win out of Dvalishvili and Aldo? Israel Adesanya says Sean Strickland should have listened to him about Alex Pereira. During the press conference ahead of UFC 276, middleweight Sean Strickland started yapping at Israel Adesanya and making fun of him over several things. Adesanya clapped back, but ultimately stated he should just focus on his own opponent in Alex Pereira. Those words now seem prophetic, as Pereira made pretty quick work of Strickland, knocking him out with a left hook and a follow-up shot in the very first round. The fight had title shot implications for the winner. The UFC is no doubt ecstatic over how things worked out, as now they can promote the heck out of the upcoming Adesanya vs Pereira fight for the middleweight title. Pereira has a history with Adesanya, having been the only guy who knocked out Izzy, albeit in another combat sport in kickboxing. Now, over a week removed from UFC 276, the champion is reflecting on the night, and in a recent video on his YouTube channel, stated that Strickland didn't follow the instructions that Adesanya gave him. This is what the champion stated.
He should have listened to me. He should have listened to me when I told him, just focus on the guy you have in front of you. Not me, the guy you have in front of you. Because he was trying to be like that idiot in the back of the class. I hated having to address that idiot in the, you know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to work and then the guy I'm focused on is next to me or down the line and there's this idiot.
Adesanya goes on to say that Strickland was pretty delusional about how the fight was going. After the fight, Strickland said that he thought he was doing really good. Adesanya blasted Strickland for those comments, saying that he was being trapped and that all it took was a simple left hook to finish him. What do you think about Adesanya's statements here regarding the Strickland-Pereira fight?
You know, I think for me, fighting a couple more times, continuing to knock some people out, and he has to get active again. You know, who knows when that's going to happen. So I think those two things need to happen. And then at some point, it's got to happen. You know, why not? He's a businessman. I'm a businessman. That's, $75 to $100 million for both of us.
Rafael dos Anjos' reaction following his knockout loss to Rafael Fiziev. UFC Vegas 58 over the weekend saw some pretty amazing bouts, but none was more highly anticipated than the scheduled fight between lightweights Rafael dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev. The bout ended with Fiziev cracking RDA with a strong left hook that sent him to the canvas and finished him off with another strike or two standing over him early in the 5th round. It was a disappointing result, but it was actually a good performance for RDA, who made it a really challenging and even fight all throughout. Both fighters had their moments to shine in this fight, but ultimately Fiziev was the one who ended up with a TKO victory and the chance to move up in the lightweight rankings. This is what RDA said after the fight during the UFC post-fight show on ESPN and whether he had been protesting the loss.
Like I said, I gotta rewatch it, and then I was kind of still dizzy but yeah, it was a tough fight. Rafael was a tough opponent, and I trained very hard for that fight, and I was really feeling I had my momentum, but that's the game.
RDA went on to say that he got KO'd fair and square, and he even congratulated Fiziev on the win. The Brazilian, who came into this fight having won 2 straight, was looking to make another run at the lightweight title that he had held all those years ago. Still, what do you think about RDA's reaction to the loss? And who do you think would be a good fight for him next time out? Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.